We saw a record number of billion-dollar disasters in 2023, which is why FEMA is hoping to make 2024 the year of resilience.
FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell joins us now to explain. Deanne, thanks so much for taking some time to talk to us about this. We love the thought of resilience here on Pattrn. So talk about some of your goals to make this a more resilient year for Americans.
Well, I am really excited for this year because, as you said, we have seen more and more disasters hit our country, and they're costing more and more complex recoveries. We also know that every dollar we invest in mitigation saves $6 in those recovery costs. And so what we really want to do is take this as an opportunity to lift up the work that FEMA already does in the resilience space and help other communities identify perhaps things that maybe they haven't thought of so they can become more resilient against the types of threats that we're facing today, but more importantly, the type of threats that we may potentially see 5 or 10 years from now.
Administrator, what are some of the projects that people should expect to see in their neighborhoods that will help achieve these goals in saving, $1 versus a 6? That was huge.
I mean, it depends on the neighborhood and it depends on where you live. I think the first thing that people need to do is understand what their risk is, right? And so when we talk about a year of resilience, while we do want to invest in mitigation, it's also about investing in individual preparedness for their own personal resilience. And so if you live in an area that's prone by hurricanes, know what you're going to have to do in order to protect yourself and your family. And for the local emergency managers, what are the things that we can do to help reduce the impact from the wind or to help message people on the storm surge or the rainfall amount so they can take the actions necessary to protect themselves. If you live in the tornado alley, do we have enough safe rooms to protect the people in those communities? Those are the type, a couple examples of resilience projects. It really varies depending on where you live across the country. There's a lot that we can do that we can help communities understand their risk better and then identify what those projects might be.
Okay, so speaking of some of those communities, starting in March, new rules mean more people will be eligible for aid. So is this going to help to be sure that those communities that are most in need, those people that are most in need, are actually getting the help?
This is just a transformational change in our regulation that's going to allow us to reach more people. So absolutely. One of the things that we wanted to be able to do is meet people where they are, understand the barriers that they face in trying to get federal assistance. And we were able to remove many of the barriers that we have heard over the last 3 years of people trying to get access to our assistance programs or just creating confusion. So we removed some of the barriers that were just confusing to people, like, why do I have to apply for an SBA loan at the same time I'm applying for FEMA and get denied before I can be eligible? Now they can do both at the same time with no strings attached. We think that this is going to allow access to more people that have been impacted by a disaster, and so we can get money in the hands of survivors faster.
Yeah, that sounds really good. So what do you expect? Those are some of the positives. And I'm not saying that a challenge is negative, but what do you anticipate, being the hardest as you work towards these goals?
I think the biggest thing is keeping up with the threats that we're seeing right now, too, right? We saw a record number of billion-dollar disasters last year. We expect, this number to continue to either sustain or continue to rise over the years. We want to make sure that communities have the capacity that they need to continue their ability to respond and recover, while at the same time having the capacity to invest in these kinds of projects. We know that building this capacity is going to be critical so we can get out of this respond and recover cycle and focus our time and energy on some of the resilience projects that also need to happen.
So you actually announced this initiative when you attended COP28 in Dubai last year. And in fact, you're the first FEMA administrator to attend one of the COPs. So why was it so important for you to be there? What is the importance of that moving forward?
One of the things that I really want to help people realize is all of the work that FEMA already does on a day-by-day basis to help build resilience in communities. And why it was so important to talk about it on the global stage is we're also seeing the same thing with our global partners. When I talk to my international colleagues, they're facing the same challenges that we're facing today. And so to be able to talk about what we are doing as a federal agency to address the resilience needs allows me to continue to have conversation with my international partners so we can share ideas, we can work together to build resilience across all of our communities.
I'm really excited about this. FEMA Administrator Deanne Criswell, we know you are super busy doing this and many other things, so we really appreciate you taking time to come talk to us live here on Pattrn.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you for helping us get this word out. It's really exciting.
Always, always. And there's a lot of good things that they're doing. And a lot of people, I don't think of FEMA as necessarily, you know, getting ahead. They always think when there's a disaster, FEMA comes in and helps.
Well, you pointed it out, that $1 versus $6.
Yeah, that's huge.
$1 to prepare versus the $6 that it takes to recover. That's such a huge difference. And of course, not only is it the monetary value there, but it's like if you say have one of those safe rooms when a tornado moves through, it's not only the recovery that's going to be better for you, but your experience when you do find yourself in the middle of a disaster. So big stuff.
And welcome back into Pattrn, your home for the latest news in climate change and sustainability. I'm Steph Abrams.
And I'm Felicia Combs, in for Jordan Steele. We're going to get straight into today's hot topics. Okay, so awards season is upon us, as we all know, which means stars walking the red carpet.
Doing the step and repeat.
Doing the step and repeat, which I just learned what that was, and of course making the acceptance speeches. But climate activists say award shows are also an opportunity to showcase sustainability. Lots of eyes on them. Now, last year, an organization called Habits of Waste helped the Golden Globes go plastic free, and now they're pushing for other award shows to do the same. The group is asking the Oscars to get on board by serving plant-based meals and eliminating single-use plastics. And they're urging guests to take an EV to the ceremony and consider vintage fashion instead of wasteful trends, which I think this is such a wonderful place to start.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's so many eyes on these award ceremonies, so many people watch, and then it's your favorite people, your favorite trendsetters, your favorite people that maybe you look up to. And if they're doing this, if they're wearing vintage, if they're recycling, if they're doing this, who knows how many people will say, oh, you know, I think I want to do, that's cool. I want to do that.
Well, and you know, it's already cool to wear something that's vintage anyway, right? If you can fit it, because you cannot change the dimensions of this dress. Either you fit in it or you're not wearing it.
Exactly.
And that's the end of it. Do you watch all these award ceremonies?
No.
I don't either.
No.
I'm not. There are some people who, you know, like to watch the whole red carpet, the whole 9 yards, but
no, you know, I that is a blind spot in my personality, the pop culture, all that. I'm like, I don't really care. But I do perk up when I hear like, oh, we're trying to be sustainable, and I'd like to see what changes they make.
Well,
so
hopefully we'll see
pay more attention.
Well, this one is a long time in the making. Starbucks is allowing customers to use their own personal cups for drink orders. It's
Me brings a 2-foot tall cup.
Right, exactly.
I don't think it works that way.
It's part of the company's promise to reduce waste. Customers can use their own cups for orders placed in store, at the drive-thru, or your mobile orders. Starbucks says baristas are using new custom beverage crafting containers to prepare drinks and transfer them to personal cups. Here's a bonus. Customers who provide their own cups will get a 10-cent discount, and rewards members will get 25 bonus stars. And I like that they mentioned that they're using something special for these cups, because my first concern was, oh, they're just going to use the same thing. You can't just pour the same thing into everyone's cup.
There's so many different drinks. And
no, I meant just like, because who knows if someone put their mouth on that drink and then you're pouring and touching and stuff.
Yeah.
My germaphobeness got a little stressed out by that.
I hadn't even thought about it, but I'm like, I guess that does make sense. They're just using the same things to remake as they would pouring it in the
but at least they'll clean that. I thought maybe have like one big pot of something and just down in everyone's cup. Are you with me now?
No, I see what's happening here. You're not a coffee drinker, so you don't even know how it normally works. There's not like a little coffee pot in there pouring ever. I was like, wait, what part of this is she having an issue with? It's because Steph is not a coffee person. So when you go there anyways, they're pretty much like making every single drink.
Oh, to order in one little
order. Yeah, there's no like,
oh, well, then that takes the germaphobe thing out of it, because then you just wash that and you're fine.
Yeah, it's not like your local diner where they're coming out. Yeah, so don't you worry. Germaphobes, don't beware. You can take your own cup and it's fine. Okay, so let's talk about vacation now. What is your ideal vacation? Stay home and relax. I love that.
Yeah.
Lay on the beach, that too. Read, go on extreme excursions. Or how about a cruise? Because if cruising's your thing, you got to check this out.
I've never been on one.
I've only been on one. It was interesting. I have thoughts. Now, over the weekend, the world's largest cruise ship set sail on its maiden voyage. While cruise ships get a bad reputation for the amount of carbon emissions they give off, Royal Caribbean says the icon of the seas touts some environmental features.
Whoa, look how big it is.
Huge. The ship, which can hold nearly 8,000 people, it better be huge for 8,000 people. Yeah. It runs on liquid natural gas, which is supposedly cleaner than other fuels. And it also has a waste management system that turns waste into energy.
I like that.
And when docked, instead of using traditional diesel generators, they'll be able to plug in where available.
Wow.
That was the part that got me. I was like, well, I wonder how the ship plugs in.
Who even knew that you could plug a ship in like that?
I didn't even know that you could plug in a ship, but I'm
So
like,
big.
that. I think that's where it'll come into as well, where available. So I'm sure the ports have to have the right
All right,
infrastructure.
we need to hear
for it.
what your thoughts are on cruising.
So here's my thought about a cruise, guys. You have to go with someone who you don't mind just like being in a room for hours and hours with, because there's only so many things that you can do on the ship. So you really have to be with someone that you're like, I want to hang out with you constantly.
Good to know.
So we're going.
Yes, you
That's
and
our
me.
vacation.
Many schools in the U.S. are decades old and haven't been upgraded to be more energy efficient. That's why students in New York City are hoping to do something about it.
Triage is a student-led environmental coalition that's pushing for upgrades in New York City schools. Catherine Giosa is co-executive director of the coalition. Catherine, thanks so much for taking some time to talk to us.
Yeah.
This is such a cool initiative that you have going on. So talk to us a little bit about what impact our older schools are having on the planet, because that's kind of a startling statistic.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So we know that New York City schools, as you said, are decades old, haven't been upgraded in years. And there's some work going on in the city to upgrade our schools right now. Mayor Adams announced that he would be upgrading 100 schools by 2030, but that's not nearly enough. That's only 5% of New York City school buildings. So we're fighting for 500 green, healthy, all-electric buildings by 2030 and a net zero public school district by 2040 for New York City. So we've seen a lot of issues in our schools so far. Even personally, I went to a public high school in Queens where there was lead found in the water. We had air pollution issues being right next to Grand Central Parkway. And through some submissions we've seen so far of other students, there's a lot of air pollution issues, which lead to students not being able to focus in class, being frequently evacuated. And obviously, as we've seen increasing natural disasters, there's been a lot of issues with evacuations, schools being interrupted as well.
Yeah, I mean, you go to school, you should not have to be worrying about or thinking about those types of things, and you should be safe as well. You did put out a call for students to get involved in the issue. Tell us about the challenge you launched.
Exactly. So our challenge is called the Mayor Adams Fix My School Challenge. We're asking students across New York City to submit videos either on social media or with a written submission, just explaining what's wrong with their schools, what do they want Mayor Adams to fix? What can their school environment be made better? So that contest will last until mid-February. Where we'll then compile all the videos and hopefully have a story to tell Mayor Adams of all these students facing harsh environments in their schools.
Right. Now, you're a college student now, but what actually drew you to doing this and starting Triage?
So I didn't start Triage, but I was involved very early on. And in high school, I saw these issues happening in my school. Even now in college, I go to the CUNY system. So again, still public university within New York City. And there just is not enough investment in our futures as young people. We've seen issues time and time again. These once in a lifetime weather events are no longer once in a lifetime. All of our infrastructure floods. We can't go outside. We can't enjoy school with harsh wildfire smoke coming in. So all these issues accumulating has really gotten me involved, and why I'm so excited about this campaign too.
Yeah, you're really passionate about this. Do you think you'll stay on? And, do you also think that at some point all these schools will be healthier and more efficient?
Yes, definitely. I think we have a really great opportunity here. Obviously, again, Mayor Adams has indicated that this is something he cares about. And in New York, we have really bold climate emission targets to reach. So schools are definitely a way to reach these targets, and hopefully just needs a little bit more investment from Mayor Adams and from the city to make it happen.
Yeah, such a good project there. Pattrn Giosa from Triage, thanks so much for joining us today. And
yeah, for all the work you're doing as well.
Yeah.
And I love that the name is TREE, capital tree, use triage, which also has a double meaning to it, right? Obviously.
So creative, because you hear that and you can kind of have the connotation of what it means already. I love that they're kind of being able to highlight the schools that really need it the most from a student's perspective.
Absolutely.